There's days I always question, are they really looking out for us? Is our government really paying attention to its citizens? I really don't know if Washington truly knows how the typical American feels. I don't know if they care to know. Today we're going to talk about a story that it just blows my mind. It really blows my mind. And I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on, it affects you. It affects Main Street economics. And until we let Washington understand this, I'm telling you, it proves to me that none of those guys care anything about the people that they're supposedly representing. Let's jump into it today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here today. If you're new to the Max, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But let us know what you think about this content. Our goal is to always bring good information to you, but also reality of what we're living in. It's not something you have to fear. It's not something you have to stress about. It's not something you have to worry about, especially if you prep and start making good decisions and wise decisions on how to face it and how to prepare for it. As someone who lives on a sustainable farm, our goal is to always be prepared as much as we can, and we hope that whatever we say can always lead to maybe some enlightenment and some wisdom for you and your family. So let's jump into this story for today. I'll make the last video. This was number 11, and I really did not talk about it much because it really was not a big part of the headlines. And again, we were just kind of hitting on topics. But let's go back to it. Let's revisit this. The Biden administration has now canceled Alaska oil leases and rights for drilling. Now, we talked about this again a little bit, but let's go a little bit in depth. We are already in shortages of fuel. That is why your fuel is going up. We've not even felt the full ramifications of cut fuel from the Saudis. There's like 3 million barrels per day that's going to be cut. We're not feeling a lot of that right now. But this administration goes in and cuts energy independence options in Alaska. These are not all of a sudden leases that they just applied for. These are leases that were already in agreement with the Trump administration. So this was providing people jobs. This was going to provide more and more economy and more money. This was going to provide energy from Alaska, from a state. And our administration pulls back. And they would rather spend money across the globe with people who do not like us, and they beg at the feet to get cheap oil. This week, your fuel has went up in price. It's went from $80 to $90 a barrel. They're saying it will top $100 a barrel in the coming few days and weeks ahead, and you're gonna see it maybe even go higher. We've not felt the ramifications of the cuts yet. We talk about being independent as a country. We're losing our freedoms, we're losing our independence because we're having to buy so much. Have you done the studies to see how much food, how much petroleum, how much goods we're still having to take in from other countries? Here was something from Zero Hedge. It said, China currently holds 96% of the global copper, 75% of global aluminum, 70% of corn, 54% of wheat, 30% of soybeans, and 22% of crude oil. And they're buying gold like crazy. They're buying fuel from all these countries like crazy. We have the opportunity to grow more food, produce more oil, and also start living back on what we had, that independence. If we all of a sudden say, okay, we're leaving our fuel, we're cutting our supply, we're hurting jobs, we're hurting our local economies, and then we're gonna have to start buying a lot of these rare earth minerals from China to provide all this quote unquote clean energy, which is a farce. Have you seen the wind energy reports and how it's actually costing us way more than it's actually producing? I digress. They're saying that oil will hit $107 a barrel because of this shortage. And they're saying we're not feeling it yet. We're gonna feel it deeper into the season. So again, as we push this stupid war that we're in, that we should not be in, and that we're losing money to, did you hear today that we released a ton of money, like billions of dollars, to Iran? They were frozen funds. So here we are, we have a good report where we're like, you know, the Navy's working to confiscate an Iranian ship with all this oil on it going to China, and yesterday's report, and all of a sudden today we're unfreezing a $6 billion account that Iran had. Do you not think all of this is just a little strange, and that this administration is so worried about what they're doing across the globe instead of worrying about its local people? Think of the economy. 6 to 7 leases closed down in Alaska. If that happens, think of the jobs that takes. If you're from Alaska, does that make your economy, I mean, are you happy about that? Think of the pipeline in the Midwest that we cut, again, because Democrats came in charge, that Biden administration cut it, all in the name of clean energy, all the while, the wind that's being produced, the solar that's being produced is not enough. The grids are failing in a lot of states, and we just keep breaking our own limbs. It's like you're running a race and you're doing really well, and all of a sudden you just want to take a hammer and hit one knee just so you can break it, so it's harder to get to the finish line. Then, if that's not enough, we're going to break the other one, so then we have to crawl. Then we're going to break our elbows just because we want to make it even tougher for us to get to the finish line. It's amazing. We had energy independence, and we were at the grasp of just having the strongest economy pre-2020, and then all of a sudden it just goes falling down, and then we're allowing it to just go further and further down the cliff. It's like we are rolling down this side of the hill, the side of the mountain, and we don't know where to stop. And we act like it's not actually happening. And here's the problem I have. It's not just with the Biden administration. I have the same problem with all the Republicans because no one is standing up against it. I am so sick and tired of hearing that we're going to have another hearing. We're going to have another gotcha moment. We're going to meet Jim Jordan or Comer, or all these guys they're gonna do it this time. McCarthy's he is going to maybe impeach the president. I am so tired of it, y'all. I'm tired of it. Until we have better people on the Republican side, we'll never hold this administration accountable, and we're going to see our jobs, our money, our economy fall to pieces, all in the name of sending all our money across the world. If we're already seeing $80, $90, $100 a barrel gas, petroleum, and you're filling in your tanks at $5 and $6 a pump, don't you think that's going to get a lot worse? Especially if the administration has depleted the oil reserves, not doing anything to pump our own energy independence here. But you want to save that random animal that they told you're going to save now. You want to buy fuel from Saudis, who is supporting Russia, who is supporting all the people that hate our guts. But we want to support them. Blows my mind. Policies that our administration and that all these representatives that's supposed to be representing you and me are putting in is fattening their dollar, is fattening their pockets. They're sending all our tax dollars and all the money that they print overseas, and you're the one suffering for it. You're the one having to pay for it. You're the one that's living paycheck to paycheck. It's not right, people. It's not right. Until you start getting some of these Republicans out that's going to keep on having hearings for no reason, that's not going to do anything about it, and until we get better leadership on the Republican side, they're never going to hold the Democrats and the Biden administration accountable. This man, his mic got cut off because he was babbling so much at the podium a few days ago. Who's in charge? Who is running this? And why in the world are we allowing it to happen here in America? We look weak, people. We really do. We have a dancing vice president. We have a president who babbles and talks and can't make a complete sentence at the podium. We have a Republican leader who stands there very awkwardly because he's having some kind of major issues. We have McCarthy, who I don't really know what world he's in, because he keeps saying he thinks he's going to start this impeachment process. He thinks. What are we doing? It's time to find better leadership. Quit listening to these politicians. They are good at telling you anything and everything you want to hear. If they can smooge talk you, they're the best salesman there is. That's why they're elected officials, and that's why they make the big bucks. All the while, they're taking all your money and sending it everywhere else and not helping our local economies. It's ridiculous that they cut these oil leases while fuel is in shortage and it's going to cost you more. Look up articles on the diesel issues that's going to be taking place this year. That's why your diesel's high. Don't matter if you believe it or not, your pocketbook will believe it. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Start electing people who care about you and not just these lobbyists and politicians in Washington. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless. Happy Homestead, y'all.